The 2014 film Dracula Untold was meant to be the beginning of something huge. It was supposed to launch the Dark Universe, an ambitious attempt to create a modern cinematic world based on Universal's classic monster series. The studio's vision was to build a universe where the main characters weren't superheroes, but monsters. Dracula, the Wolfman, Frankenstein's creature, the Invisible Man, Mr. Hyde, the Mummy, even Baba Yaga. All of them were meant to become part of one massive interconnected story, the foundation of a dark cinematic universe. That's why the movie left us with so many unanswered questions. Most of them were left open on purpose to give future projects more room to expand the story. But the truth is, we already have enough information to answer the most important questions that came up after watching the film. Who exactly is the Master Vampire? Who was he before, and who locked him inside that cave, where he remained trapped for about 1500 years? I'll also try to explain the ending of the movie and uncover where brother Lucien got so many artifacts and so much knowledge about vampires. And of course, none of this story would have happened without the gypsy named Skelgim. He was the one guiding Vlad and carrying out someone's orders. But whose orders? Who was he serving before he even met Dracula? To find the answers, I'll be using not only the movie itself, but also the original script. The script doesn't stray far from the final cut, but it's more detailed and includes a few important scenes that never made it into the movie. Speaking of those scenes, my second source is 13 minutes of deleted dialogue. These scenes gave much more screen time to Skelgim, or the Familiar as he's called in the script, and even revealed an important conversation between Vlad and Baba Yaga, who also plays her own part in this dark story. So we'll dive into everything that didn't make it into the final cut. Alright, you get the idea. My name is Eugene, and I'll start from the very beginning of Count Dracula's story, how he fell into the devil's grasp, and when it all began. So there are two big questions here, and they're crucial. First, how did the monk get his hands on that book about the vampire? If the Master Vampire never left anyone alive, and Count Dracula was the first to survive an encounter with him, then who could have told the story of the monster trapped in that cave? That he was a vampire and everything about his past? The second question, how did a Turkish helmet and armor end up so far from the cave? In the script, and in one of the deleted scenes, Vlad himself wonders the same thing. Where are the bodies?
Where are the bodies?
And how did that armor end up there in the first place? The answer was right on the surface. Many people figured it out, but they just couldn't prove it. The one responsible was the Familiar. Familiars are humans who serve witches, sorcerers, or anyone practicing dark magic. Their purpose is simple: to serve their master. In the movie, this role belongs to the gypsy Skelgim. He was the one who first lured the Turkish soldiers into the cave. Later, he made a deal with the Master Vampire. He would bring someone capable of freeing him. Someone strong enough not only physically, but spiritually. Someone who could resist the bloodlust and control it. It's Skelgim who tells the Master Vampire all about Dracula's story. That's why, when Vlad meets the first vampire for the second time, the creature already knows who he is and has been waiting for this encounter. For the Master Vampire, this was his one chance at freedom, and there was no way he was going to miss it.
For if I am your salvation, you are mine.
But then, who gave the gypsy the order? Who told Skelgim to bring the Turkish helmet to the river and scatter the armor at the foot of the mountain? He did all of that to lure Count Vlad into the cave. But the question remains, whom was he serving before he saved Dracula and gave him his blood? The answer lies in a deleted scene, the one with Dracula's encounter with Baba Yaga. When Vlad wakes up after striking the deal with the Master Vampire, he meets an old man by the river. The man tells him that the Turks have killed everyone in the village and taken the boys away to serve in their army. Later, Vlad realizes that the old man is actually dead. He's a ghost. But here's the most intriguing detail: the old man's hand. Or rather, the rings on it. At first, I didn't pay much attention to that shot, but then I remembered the golden rule. In filmmaking, every frame matters. If something is shown on screen, the director is trying to tell us something. Look closely at the rings on Skelgim's hand. They're the same as the ones worn by the old man's ghost. That ghost was the one who led Dracula to Baba Yaga. Skelgim was following her orders all along. But what role does Baba Yaga truly play in this story? Why would she want Dracula in the first place? It's hard to believe she wanted to help him. Most likely, Baba Yaga had her own motives, and they were tied directly to the Master Vampire. I believe it was Baba Yaga who told the Master Vampire about the cave and the demon within it, about eternal life and unimaginable power. But she never revealed the price that comes with such a pact. The thing is, in every deal with the devil, there's always a cost and a hidden trap. For example, Baba Yaga doesn't need to drink human blood, but to maintain the appearance of a young woman, she has to consume children. She takes their strength and their life force. That's what keeps her alive. In her hut, we can even see the cookies she uses to lure kids inside. During her dialogue with Vlad, she shares a crucial piece of information. He can, in fact, be killed. If his heart is pierced by wood, he will die. She also tells him something even more shocking, that he was deceived. To truly return to being human, Vlad needed to resist drinking blood for 7 days.
7 days.
But the master said 3. That detail matters because those extra 13 minutes of footage were never included, not in a director's cut, not anywhere official. If you look closely at the hut in those scenes, you can tell the studio never even finished the visual effects. There's no proper CGI, no polished set work. These shots were never meant to be seen by the public. Someone leaked them. That's why most of these clips will likely be taken down for copyright reasons. It's not the first time something like this has happened. Some might remember when X-Men Origins, Wolverine leaked online before its premiere. Wolverine's claws weren't even added yet, and actors were holding wooden prop guns. Sometimes there weren't even props at all. But that's not the main point. The real issue is how this information changes the story's balance. Because later in the movie, Vlad tells his wife he has 3 days, and by the end of that 3rd day, he drinks the blood of the woman he loves. Let's get back to Baba Yaga. Why would she want to help Dracula at all? Most likely, she knows that the Master Vampire has been dreaming of only one thing all this time: revenge. He wants to punish everyone who betrayed him. And Vlad is her only chance. Everyone in this story is using him for their own goals. Baba Yaga believes he's the one capable of defeating the Roman Emperor, because that's who the Master truly is. But we'll get to that part a little later. There's another hint of Baba Yaga's presence in the movie. The quick flashes, those blink and you miss it shots that at first seem to mean nothing. They appear the moment Vlad accepts the deal and drinks the ancient vampire's blood. First, we see Vlad's wife being watched by what looks like a wolf. Is it just a wolf under the Master's control, or a werewolf? Interestingly, the script reveals that Vlad was originally supposed to transform into a giant wolf himself, but that detail never made it into the final cut. Next, we're shown the dead villagers and burning houses, the very same place where Vlad first met Baba Yaga. And then comes a moment I still can't quite explain. A corpse. It looks ancient, shriveled, as if it's been there for ages. I tried to find out more about the golden ornament it's wearing. It looks like a floral design, but I couldn't find anything historically significant about it. If any of you know who in ancient times might have worn such an ornament, let me know in the comments. Together, we might be able to solve this piece of the puzzle. Next, we see Vlad trying to bite someone. But who is it? It's definitely not his wife. The hair color doesn't match, and the hair is short. And then, at the very end of that vision, we see a gaping mouth full of sharp teeth. As you've probably guessed by now, that's Baba Yaga. She's a crucial link in the entire story, one that was completely cut from the final movie. Unbelievable. In the script, the backstory of the first vampire is also slightly different. He actually has a name. The Master was once a man, powerful, strong, a general of the Roman army. But what do you crave when you already have everything? Wealth, power. Of course, it's time, the most precious gift. So when he learned of a witch who was immortal, he went to her. He demanded what he desired most: time, eternal life. She granted his wish. She showed him the cave where he could summon a demon from hell. She performed the ritual that allowed him to make the pact. That's why his long-harbored desire for revenge is aimed at her, at Baba Yaga. He wants to punish her for not revealing the full cost of their bargain. And yes, in the script, the first vampire even has a name, Gaius Caesar. Why isn't this mentioned in the movie? Most likely, the creators wanted to keep his past a mystery. If they had revealed his true identity, we'd know that he was once a dictator, the great Pontifex of Rome. This also confirms that he's been trapped in that cave for roughly 1500 years. There's another fascinating detail in the script. When Dracula first steps into the cave, he notices a set of untouched armor. Vlad points out that the Turks never used armor like that. It's much older. It looks Roman. How did it end up there? It's a shame this part was cut from the movie because it hints at something much bigger, that the ancient Roman mystics already knew the story. That's where the prophecy comes from. They recorded everything in the book that's now kept among the artifacts of the Order. Was there someone who once tried to kill the creature, to destroy the ancient evil living in that cave? The answer lies in the monk's book, which brings us to a key character in this story. After Vlad witnesses something supernatural, something beyond reason, he goes looking for answers, and surprisingly, brother Lucien has them. I want to take a closer look at that scene. In the monastery, we're shown 3 carved monkeys, Mizaru, Kikazaru, and Iwazaru. They symbolize the idea of refraining from evil and detaching oneself from the unnatural. If I don't see evil, don't hear evil, and don't speak of it, I am protected from it. These figures have nothing to do with religion, especially not Christianity. They're Japanese protective totems, believed to create a barrier that demons, diseases, curses, and evil spirits cannot cross. This tells us that the sanctuary holds not just Christian relics, but artifacts from all over the world. Anything believed to help in the fight against evil. It's here that the monk speaks of the Order.
4 nights ago, every brother in our order awoke from an identical dream.
At first, I didn't think much of it, but then I realized that Lucien isn't just an ordinary monk. His true purpose in Transylvania is to ensure that the ancient evil trapped in the cave never escapes. And that explains why he has so much knowledge, so many resources, and such detailed information about the vampire. This order he speaks of is similar to the one we saw in Van Helsing, 2004, a secret society dedicated to hunting the creatures of darkness. Have you ever wondered how Sultan Mehmed knew about the weaknesses of vampires, sunlight, wooden stakes, and silver? By the way, before I forget, I want to explain why all vampires are vulnerable to holy relics, sunlight, and silver. Vampires are cursed. Their bond with Satan and hell is eternal. So just like demons, they find all sacred objects unbearable. Sunlight itself symbolizes the triumph of good over evil and darkness. The first rays of the sun were long associated with divine power. In early Christianity, Christ was often compared to the sun, a symbol of life and divinity. Sunlight was believed to have driven the devil back into hell. So in that sense, it makes perfect sense that it harms vampires, and demons, including vampires, are also weak against silver. It burns their flesh and blinds them with its bright, pure light. We see this hinted at in the cave when the master vampire says,
"The silver offends me, cloak it from my sight."
When Vlad wakes up after the ritual, we see the ring on his finger start to burn, smoke rising from it. That's because silver weakens vampires. Later, during the battle with Mehmed, the silver coins scattered across the ground drain Vlad's strength, bringing him down to the level of an ordinary human. Silver plays a major role in religious history. It's tied to the betrayal of Judas and the 30 pieces of silver. Those who have betrayed God, those who've made a pact with the devil, cannot endure this metal. As for the wooden stake, I don't have a definitive answer. It might be connected to Vlad's own history as the Impaler, or perhaps to the death of Judas himself. Remember the legend, Judas tried to hang himself on an aspen tree, but the rope snapped. He fell onto a jagged branch that pierced his body, tearing him open. One way or another, brother Lucien was sent to Transylvania specifically to keep the vampire threat contained. And when we see him at the Turkish camp near the end of the movie, it becomes clear who told the Sultan about the vampire's weaknesses, about silver. It was Lucien's doing. No, he wasn't siding with the Turks. It was a case of the enemy of my enemy is my ally. He couldn't destroy Vlad himself, so his only hope was to use the Turks against him. Lucien's ultimate mission was to prevent the master vampire from ever being freed and to keep that ancient evil from spreading across the land. In the monk's book, there's an intriguing illustration. I can only speculate, but it most likely suggests that the Crusaders once tried to kill the vampire living in that cave and failed. Before we move on to another important deleted scene involving the goat, I want to talk about the death of Vlad's wife, Merina. For many viewers, that moment felt frustrating. A lot of people believe Vlad could have saved her. Personally, I don't think he could. Yes, in the cave the master vampire didn't exactly move fast. He almost seemed to teleport short distances. At the end of the film, Vlad gains that same ability, but only after drinking human blood. Before that, he was getting weaker each day. By the third day, he could no longer use his full strength. Unfortunately, the movie didn't do a great job of showing this, but the script explains it much better. On the second day, when Vlad wakes up, he can't even stand. His whole body is shaking and he's burning with fever. That's when Merina helps him. She tells him that goat's blood is often offered as a sacrifice to the devil, and that it might give him strength. She urges him to at least try it. This moment appears in the deleted scene. In reality, the sacrifice of a goat or a ram is indeed common in religious traditions, often tied to atonement or offerings. It even connects back to the biblical story of Cain and Abel. According to the traditional account, Adam's two sons, Cain and Abel, each brought an offering to God. Cain, a farmer, offered the fruits of his labor, crops from the earth. Abel, a shepherd, offered a goat as a sacrifice. In the end, God accepted Abel's offering, but rejected Cain's. In the film's original plan, this symbolism was supposed to tie into Dracula's struggle. On that second day when Vlad could barely stand, he drank the blood of an animal, a goat, to calm his thirst. By doing so, he didn't break the terms of his pact. It gave him just enough strength to go on. It's a shame that moments like this were left out of the final cut. They would have added so much depth to the story and to Vlad's transformation. Another deleted scene shows Vlad's encounter with General Ismail. In it, we would have discovered yet another of Dracula's abilities, the power to dominate a person's will. He was able to manipulate Ismail's thoughts, planting the idea that his true enemy was the Sultan himself. Dracula's strength in this film is far greater than in Bram Stoker's novel, or even in Van Helsing, 2004. What we saw on screen was only a fraction of his true potential. Most of his abilities were already present before he ever tasted human blood. After he finally gave in and drank it, he became even stronger, far more powerful. By the end of the movie, he's able to command the elements, even blotting out the sun with storm clouds. And yet, despite tasting human blood, Vlad remained human at heart. His strength didn't come only from the cave. He'd been strong-willed long before that. The people he turned into vampires to fight the Turks were nothing like him. They became little more than beasts, slaves to their bloodlust. Vlad understands this, and he realizes that his son isn't safe by his side. He entrusts the boy to brother Lucien, showing care and love as a father. Finally, Vlad opens the sky, allowing the sunlight to pour through, willing to die to cleanse the land of evil. But when the first rays of the sun strike, every creature is instantly torn apart. Everyone except Vlad. He's barely alive, almost dead. It's Shkelgim, the gypsy, who saves him. Loyal to his master, he's willing to do anything for his lord. Now let's talk about the ending of the movie. To me, it's both strange and beautiful at the same time. First of all, we see that Dracula is still human. He's not a beast. He's perfectly capable of living among people without letting his thirst take over. When he meets the reincarnation of Merina, he feels something again. Love. That's a deeply human emotion, not something a demon would experience. The strangest part of that scene, though, is the sudden appearance of the master vampire. Why now, of all times? Why the moment Vlad meets Mina? It almost feels as if the master had been waiting for that encounter too. But why? That's still unclear to me. Most likely, it's something we were meant to learn in the sequel that never happened. I agree with many viewers. I genuinely liked Dracula Untold, 2014. It has its flaws, but overall, it's a movie that deserves a continuation. But after reading the script, I realized just how much of the film's potential was left untapped. The script explores the story far more deeply. It sheds light on the true motives of the gypsy Skelgim and the monk Lucien. I still don't understand why such important scenes were cut. What about you? What are your thoughts on the movie? Let me know in the comments. I'd love to hear your theories.